Redfish IVN says hello. Visit us at Agona Swedregana. How to get rid of Google spying is what we need to talk about. Google tracks your activities both online and offline with a variety of apps. This is not surprising. But you can regain control of your personal data at least in a small amount. Want to prevent companies from tracking your activities? In fact, this is almost impossible. The advertising giant collects data about you when you search for something on the internet, when you visit certain websites, when you use your Android phone. However, there are several ways we can secure our personal information. What Google knows about your actions. There are two ways to get a copy of all the data Google collects about you: Takeout and Dashboard. Takeout was created so that users could take their data from Google and move it to another place, from photos and contact list to Android settings, Chrome bookmarks, Google Fit activity data, and even the history of actions in your cloud. Creating a Takeout archive can take a few days. At the end, Google will send you a link to download it. Dashboard offers a snapshot of the data that Google collects about you when you use the company's services. This includes the number of messages sent and received via Gmail email, the number of files on disk, and the number of photos Google stores for you. Key information is so-called user activity data, such as your location, search queries, or browsing history. If you want to scare someone, show him a graph with his movement around the city for the day, because Google Maps tracks where you go and when you do it. Another source of Google data is your personal Google account profile. Go to the Personal Information section. On this page you will be able to see what information Google collects about you. Here you can also change your profile picture and your date of birth. You can delete this data or enter false information, but remember what exactly you changed, as you will need this information to reset your password later. What Google thinks it knows about you. Google uses the collected data to create an advertising profile, earning money through the display of advertising. Google's parent company Alphabet published a report on advertising revenue of $32.6 billion last quarter. That money was made by Google without directly selling your data. The company just allowed other firms to personalize their ads. That's why the pair of sneakers you dream of continues to haunt you in the form of ads all over the internet. Such behavioral advertising is complicated. Google notes that if you search the maps for football fields near me or watch highlights of matches on YouTube, it will let the company know that you're a football fan. Interestingly, you can figure out for yourself who Google thinks you are by going into your advertising settings. There, Google creates a picture of who it represents you to be, your age and gender, what topics you are interested in, from air travel to world news, as well as which companies you may like. By taking a look at the reports from Takeout and Dashboard, researching your personal and advertising profile, you'll get a good idea of the data Google collects about you. If you think you've missed something, you can request the right access to the data, which is a right enshrined in EU law, so that a person can find out what data any organization holds about them. Change your Google account settings. Now that you have an idea of the scale of the data being collected, it's time to do something to change that. Google's default settings allow the company to collect a lot of data. However, Google gives you the opportunity to see all the settings on the Data and Personalization page. There are settings for user activity, editing profile information, and conditions of personalized advertising. If you have a Google account, grab a cup of tea or something stronger and spend half an hour exploring each element of the settings. Google App and Search Activity. Web and App Activity collects data about your search queries and your use of Google Apps, such as Chrome, as well as apps that use the company's services, such as Maps. If you disable this feature, you won't see your latest queries and get personalized results. However, disabling this feature does not prevent Google from receiving information about which sites you visit. Voice. If you're talking to your phone or other Google device, such as clicking the microphone icon in Chrome or saying OK, Google, the recording is saved. Google says it uses this data to improve speech recognition, including a better understanding of your voice specifically. Each audio track is accompanied by details about when the recording was made and through which application it happened, for example, Chrome or Android Google app. You can even play these recordings. They can be deleted altogether or one at a time. Saving such audio can be disabled in the account settings in the My Activity section. Google also understands that people sometimes want to delete the history of voice queries using their own voice. There are commands like, Google, delete the last thing I said, and Google, delete everything I said last week. The commands will work immediately when they are first uttered. However, if you ask to delete voice data for more than a week, you will be asked to do it online, and the desired page will appear on your phone. Location. With location history, the company keeps track of where you are, even if you're not using Google Maps. Google queries and stores this data from any device you use wherever you are. Go to your timeline to see its scale. If you're using Android, Google knows where you've been at any given time for years. The personalized features it offers aren't very impressive. You can turn off location history. You'll still be able to use the maps, but you won't get recommendations based on the places you visited. Turn off tracking and activity controls and delete existing data in the timeline. Even if you turn off location history tracking, Google will still know where you are, because other apps can get this information. To completely stop spying on you, you will need to disable the recording of your activity on the internet and other applications. Other settings. In addition to the above, you can also disable the browsing and search history on YouTube, which Google uses to show recommendations. It's also worth changing the privacy settings for photos stored on Google. For example, turn off facial recognition and delete the location of the photo. Advertising profiles. If you do not need personalized advertising, you can disable it in the advertising settings in the settings section and prevent Google from tracking your web activity and collecting any other information from its services. You'll still see ads, but they won't be personalized. For example, if you've previously asked not to be shown specific ads, they may reappear before your eyes. Google will also collect information such as the subject of the page you are visiting, the time of day, and your location, but this data will not be associated with your browsing history or what you searched for on YouTube. Demographic information such as age and gender cannot be deleted, but may be updated. If you're trying to avoid Google's surveillance, there's nothing like pointing out incorrect data. However, Google may well guess about your deception and switch you back to a 35-44-year-old woman, even if you try to indicate in your personal information that you were actually born a man in 1927. If you want Google to stop collecting data about you and use personal information related to browsing to analyze your interests, disable the collection of user activity on the internet and applications and the personalization of advertising itself. You can also block certain advertisers in your ad settings. Click on the business name and Google will show you why it thinks you're interested in that product or service. You may have visited the advertiser's website or installed the advertiser's app. Google allows the user to click on a special button to prevent the display of these ads. That doesn't mean you'll never see ads from this company, but they will no longer be based on your personalized data. Other ways to protect your data. The best way to limit Google's data collection is to delete your account, but you don't have to go that far. Can't live without Gmail or Google Maps? You can limit data collection by switching to other products or using only the services you need. For example, download and install the Firefox or Brave browser instead of Chrome. Use DuckDuckGo search instead of Google. If you can afford it, then swap out your Android for an iPhone. You can delete your account entirely, but even so, Google is able to continue tracking you with what one report called passive data. Although Google claims that the company does not link your name or other personal data to the profile. As with tracking any online activity, ad blockers like AdBlock Plus and privacy extensions like Disconnect or Privacy Badger will help block existing tracking systems. Surveillance can be carried out through cookies or social trackers. On Android, the Firefox Focus browser will help you stay private, and Brave will be a great option for data protection when you access the internet from a computer. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. Redfish IFN